All right, guys, welcome back to another video. So first and foremost, if you're new to this channel, if you can leave a like and subscribe, that would help a lot. So last night I pulled into my driveway and I get an email from Max and he says something like, oh, I'm a new student pilot. I just stumbled across this video and I'm noticing something weird about this video. I noticed a few mistakes, something like that. I was wondering if you could look at this video and tell me what you think of it. So I'm like, all right. I look at it, I see the title, Flight Lesson Engine Trouble. Huh, okay, 100 views, that's weird. And for the first like 4 minutes of this video, nothing really happens. And then we'll watch it in a second, but when this instructor and the student and the guy in the back go to take off, they ride that stall horn for like 30 seconds. I mean, they are right at that edge of that stall horn for a long, long time. And I'm watching the video, I'm like, is that a stall horn? Why? What is going on? And you can't see anything out the window. And there's a few times when the guy filming will go back and forth, but I'm like, what is going on here? And I watched the video and I had my suspicions. And then I did the math, which I'll show you guys. And I think I can safely conclude that they were out of weight and balance. I think they had an AFCG and I think they're overweight by a significant amount, okay? And I'll break it down, but first let's watch this video and I want you guys to hear this stall horn and like what actually happens. But I'm not trying to out this instructor, I'm not trying to out the student or anything like that. I just want to extract a teachable moment from this and show you guys this is what happens when we don't do weight and balance checks. I don't think this was engine trouble. I think the engine was running completely fine. I think this had to do with weight and balance. By the way, just to give you guys some context, I'm suspecting it was hard for me to get the data, but I think this is out of Long Beach, okay? So it's the density altitude was, I did the math on it, I went back, saw the density altitude was like 2,000, it was 80 degrees, okay? So nothing too crazy, but considering that this was, you know, they're already probably overweight and then they have a density altitude of 2,000, that doesn't help at all. So here comes the rotation. Okay, so that's the rotation, and then the guy in the back films their landing and then watch the landing, and then I'll give you guys my breakdown and I'll show you guys the weight and balance. I guessed all of their weights, baggage. I was able to look at their fuel and yeah. Also, by the way, 24 seconds of stall horn going off so far. Every time the stall horn went off, I would start it, and every time it stopped, I would end it. And I got to 24 total seconds of stall horn warnings. Yeah, so they clearly just did like an emergency landing or just came back around, but now they're coming in. Okay, so that landing alone, I mean, that landing was side loaded. You can kind of tell. It sounded like it was side loaded, I couldn't tell, but generally when I hear that noise, my students are kind of coming in like this, or they just came in too fast and with too much energy. So yeah, a lot to take away from this. Like I said, I'm not crapping on this flight instructor at all. Like, You know, I'm not here to out this person. I'm not here to out the students. I'm here to extract a teachable moment from this. Okay, I feel like that's really important not to go into this outrage. Is it absurd? Yes, but do we need to go into this outrage? I don't think so. Okay, because at the end of the day, it's like even though this mistake was definitely made, they still got on the ground safely and the plane is intact. It could have been a lot worse. This could have been a lot worse in somebody else's hands, or if they didn't catch it or they're too slow, or maybe 30 more pounds after CG, who knows? But all right, so the first thing that I was looking at after I concluded that this may have been an AFCG, a bad weight and balance, I had to, or an AFCG, I had to ask myself, okay, what is their fuel? And I went over here and I also looked at the plane's model in FlightWare, and this is a Cessna 172S. I have 180 hours in the Cessna 172S model, so I'm pretty familiar with the weight and balance of this. So I was able to look at the fuel gauges, and I pulled up the fuel. Let me just get this right here. And if you zoom in to the instrument panel right here, this is what I suspected. I was like, they have to be full fuel. Full fuel right here. You can see the left gauge is maxed out and the right gauge is maxed out. Now, what does that mean? That means that in this plane we have 56 gallons, but 53 is usable. So that brings us to about 318 pounds. That's a lot of weight. So first thing first is that when you go into a discovery flight and you have someone in the back, you want to, first of all, do your weight and balance, but you want to start thinking about not putting the plane at full fuel because it'll throw off your weight and balance. So what I normally do is I tell the person before me, hey, don't fuel it up. I got a discovery flight and someone's going to be in the back. Okay. Then I had to go and guess all their weights, which was impossible and probably pretty rude, to be honest. But if we're really breaking this video down, I guessed her weight. She looks like a taller woman. Either this guy's really short or she's just really tall. But I guessed her weight. I guessed his weight. All right, this guy's not so small either. And I put the weight and balance for both of them in the pilot and co-pilot at 400 total pounds. So that put their moment at 14,000. I got their empty weight from the, this is just a roundabout guess. I just took this from my POH for my Cessna 172S. And it's probably give or take a couple of pounds, 10, 20 pounds, depending on the avionics. It's not going to be too far off of this. So yes, all these numbers are estimated. However, I was like really generous with these. I was like, these people probably weigh this much, but I took off a little bit of weight. So I underestimated a lot of these numbers, okay, just to be on the more accurate side, I believe. I'd rather underestimate than overestimate because I don't want to be like dramatic or anything, but like, look, and put them overweight. So the pilot, I guessed, and the co-pilot, I guessed at around 480 pounds. And then the guy in the back, okay, he is a heavier set guy. I don't think he would disagree with me on this, but there's this moment of him that I was like, what does that guy look like in the back? And he films himself for a moment. And anyways, I guess that his weight was around like 230 to 250. Oh, here he is right here. So I'm not looking at this guy to like insult him or anything. I needed to get a good guess of his weight. And I was like, he probably looks like he's anywhere between 230 and 250. I'd be surprised if I'm like really far off of that. Okay, so that put our baggage compartment, or not our baggage, but our rear passenger to 290. So you're wondering, okay, how did you get 290 if this guy's weight is approximately 250? Well, if you look in the beginning here, you can kind of see their bags, and the flight instructor's bag and his bag. I guess this at least, who knows what's in here? Sometimes these are like 30 pounds, but I put it on the way lighter side because like I said, I was being generous, 15 pounds. But I'm guessing that's probably plus 20. Okay, this guy's bag, you know, it doesn't look like there's a lot of resistance on the straps, maybe 15 pounds max. Headsets, couple pounds, but you know, these bags went in the back, okay? Now, did they go in baggage compartment A and B? I have no way to tell, but I didn't see him in there. So I just put this weight here. If you guys want to look at this, I just put the weight in rear passengers and baggage because like I said, I didn't know if it was an A or B, so I left these blank. But what I did see was that guy taking a picture of himself with at least one of the bigger bags in the back, okay? So I put 290, and then now that gives me the total CG without fuel at 2,334 pounds, or 330, that's already a lot of weight, okay? And that's before fuel. That's before fuel. So that puts their total weight with baggage, fuel, oil, passengers at a total of 1,003 pounds because I know that they have full fuel in there. Okay, so that's how much weight. The useful load for the Cessna 172 Sierra model maxes out right here. Maximum useful load, normal category is 895 pounds. So they're already over their maximum useful load. And then it gets worse, okay? So after I was able to see that they had max fuel in here, I took 53 gallons and I got 318 pounds. I got their arm, I got their moment, and then that puts us at a total weight of 2,651 pounds, okay? And then an arm of 44. So now our CG is 44, which gives us a giant moment here. And I did 2 calculations right here, where let me just zoom in for, can I not zoom in here? Hopefully I can zoom in. It's not letting me zoom in. Oh, yes I can, hold on. I'm going boomer mode on here. I feel like I'm a 90-year-old on Facebook. All right, so I gave you guys 2 numbers to look at. This red circle right here, this is just, that's what their weight looked like without fuel, okay, was that circle. So they're within limits without fuel, but you're still aft. And then I put fuel in here, and they were at like what, 2,600 and something pounds with a CG of 44. So if you go up this line and then you go over here to the left, like their CG is sitting about right here. I'm using my trackpad, so this is accurate. So this is telling me that they have an aft CG and that they're already out of the limits. Okay, so an aft CG is bad because you're going to be unstable upon that longitudinal axis. So the CG, instead of being more forward like up here, it's more rearward. And I'll pull up a diagram to help you guys understand this. So that's my second indication, is that I was able to pull up this weight and balance with this model with their estimated empty weights and estimating their weights. And I know at least that they have full fuel, and they were most likely out of the envelope. And it's kind of obvious, like you can watch the video and just tell by the way that they were pitching nose up and they're kind of wing wobbling a little bit, getting that stall horn for 24 seconds. So you can watch that video and already assume by even that guy's selfie that they're probably out of the weight. But I think this is pretty good proof. So yeah, maximum useful load in normal category is going to be 895 pounds. All right. Now the conditions of that day were 80 degrees. I pulled it up, 80 degrees. Density altitude was 2,000. And it was at sea level. Okay, so I mean, they're at the beach. So sea level, winds were at like 5 knots. So I'm not saying that density altitude, well, actually, I'm saying that they got kind of lucky, because if they were at an airport that I normally fly out of, and this was summer, by the way, July, where I fly, it's 100 degrees, okay? So if you did that at my airport, at my density altitude, which is 6,000 plus, you're done. If you're overweight, if you have a high density altitude and a rear CG, you're not making it out of that. And we got obstacles at the end of the runway. These guys are lucky. They're at standard, well, slightly above standard temperatures and pressure. They're at sea level. The density altitude wasn't even that high. It was a little warm, yes. They have no winds. So they got really, really lucky to walk out of this alive, I think. And you guys tell me if I'm being dramatic or if I missed some data or anything here, but this was pretty crazy to watch. And then if you guys go here to boldmethod.com, you can kind of see the effects of an aft CG right here. This is one of the things that I like to show my students a lot. Okay, so if we have a forward CG right here, you can see that the induced drag goes up, all right, and that their angle of attack is forced to be up. Now, the problem is that when we have a rearward CG, yes, our induced drag goes down. However, we're less stable upon that longitudinal axis. So if you think of this as like a lever, this lever, right, the distance between here and here is small. So that means that we have less stability. Had they had a more forward CG, maybe if you put that heavier set guy in the front, which you couldn't do because of CFI, they would have been more stable. But you're climbing out of this really, really unstable, and you have a rearward CG. So that center of gravity is just rotating upon that point. And it's just, you know, it's just more difficult to, well, actually, it's not more difficult to rotate. It's less difficult to rotate, but when you do rotate, you're going to get that stall horn sooner because, you know, you have all that weight in the back. Whereas if you had all that weight in the front, it's technically harder to rotate, or it takes longer to rotate. So anyways, yeah, a lot to break down there, but I think this is a really good lesson as to why you guys need to do weight and balances. And I get it. It's like, as a CFI, you know, you only have one person in your left seat, but the moment you put someone in the back, and that guy's heavier, or there's a lot of stuff back there, like you need to be doing weight and balances way more. And new students, and I'm really proud of this guy Max for being a new student pointing this out too, because he's like, something's wrong about this. Yeah, I don't think this is engine trouble. I think this is bad weight and balance. But yeah, I think that's about it. If you guys, I want to let you go ahead and leave comments below and let me know what you guys think of this video. Do you think that this was engine problems and that they lost engine power on takeoff and I'm just overanalyzing this? Or do you think this was likely an aft CG and they're out of their center of gravity limits, out of their envelope? Let me know. Okay, but if you guys like this video, leave a like and subscribe. And also remember, my email is cfimunden@gmail.com, so you guys can send me videos or questions or anything that you want. And remember, I do private lessons outside of the Boise area. So if you want to fly with me, let me know. I just got access to a really nice Cessna 172, so I'm going to be making videos about that soon. All right, guys, I'll see you.